Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Decree of Dominion podcast with your host, Diamond D Money 1996. Got a special guest, Miss Kashari Peterson. I'm coming from Alabama down south, y'all. And so please welcome her and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey, y'all. My name is Kashari, as stated. I'm over here down south between Alabama and Georgia. I'm on the border, and I have my own podcast called Cage Vibes. It's just a platform for people not being silenced. Basically, I created it so that I can get myself open and out, and to also assist people in doing so. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. And so, to all the viewers out there, I want to welcome Kashari to the Decree of Dominion. And so, we're going to get right into it. Mental health in today's society is a very important topic. I do want to preface for all the viewers out there, I did have a good friend as well as football teammate. Actually, the release of the mental health series on March 1st, unfortunately, due to circumstances, he did take his own life. And so he's gone on the path for glory. But again, condolences to his family and the Herring family. But this goes right into, the driving force of creating the Decree of Dominion platform. And I'm sure Kay's Vibes can relate to that as well. And so we're going to get right into it. Like I said, we're going to go through some different mental health topics within the African American community as well as the youth as a whole. And so the first thing I want to open up, one thing I want to talk about is the stigma when it comes to members of the African American community. If you're viewing in your own social media, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, um, X or Twitter, Instagram, etc., there's been a very negative connotation between demoralizing the Black community when it comes to Black men and women working together, not just romantically relationships, but just collaborations. And I just feel like a good topic to start off is us going through, what we're seeing and what we've been seeing for several years now on the kind of demoralization of the Black community being united as one. And so I'll let you. First question I have is, as a Black community, in your opinion, what's a few ways that you feel we can reverse course and begin to create a more united community?
I would say stop gatekeeping if we want to be more united. A lot of times we try to work together and such, but then we have underlying animosity or jealousy or envious, even though we should be, working together and trying to see each other successfulness. We just be envious of each other. Like, why are we competing with each other? I will never understand that. I don't compete with anybody. I want to see success for everyone. Um, so in that such, I feel like stop competing with each other and gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is as if we are getting to a level in our life that we're becoming successful, but we don't want to help somebody else get there. Even if it's just a word of advice or referring them to a job, a lot of people don't want to do that, especially in my city. So I would say to become back unified is to work on um, collaboration, work on learning the meaning of working together. Like we in it together. We see other races and everything working together, but we're the only ones who are competing with each other. And I would never understand that. We could all become something.
That's a great segue. There's different. I've seen a lot. With corporate America. For those of you that are viewing out there that know, I did used to own a marketing business for 2 years, and one thing I've just seen with that, as well as in corporate America, climbing up that ladder, is that gatekeeping of knowledge or status. And within the African American community, I've personally seen it a lot within the family. Um, you know, you have a lot of it might not even just be parents or grandparents. It could be, aunts, uncles, not telling you certain things, keeping family secrets hidden, just different things or a lot of it is the way you say. A lot of what I want to talk about with mental health with that is the mentality that it breeds as you grow older. Again, I did talk a little bit about that in my childhood trauma series. So go ahead and offline check that out if you're viewing this episode. Go ahead and check out that childhood development series or childhood trauma development series. But what I do speak about is you have to understand mental health is different aspects to it, but it's also what is said as you're growing up from family. And so what I mean by that is there's certain things you can say that inadvertently or advertently deters someone in your family or deters people from pursuing their dreams. It could be as simple as when you're young, if you're viewing out there, how many times you wanted to play a new sport or do a new club at school or get into music, get into art, get into dancing, and your parents or uncles, aunts, or whoever is like, why would you want to do that? Like, you don't want to do something else, or I don't think you'd be good at that, or I don't think that's the right move for you. And it's just different little, like, or even with size, like, let's say you always wanted to be a princess or a model and you're kind of, bigger. That's like your family saying, girl, you too big to put on that dress, or you might want to cook or do something. It's just little um, what we call sneak disses
Yeah.
that people don't. Now, some people mean to say it, but a lot of people they just mentally, cognitively, um, we say those things to our youth and to our each other in the Black community, especially. Um, that kind of deters us, or even friends, homeboys. Like you might have for a guy, you might want to cook. Like for me, I'm a chef outside of podcasting. I grew up cooking with my grandmother since I was 6 years old. Back then, you know, outside of like that was before, right when Gordon Ramsay and them were kind of just coming up. Back then, it was kind of like frowned upon a little bit, for a guy to be in the kitchen all the time. Like, why you with the girls in the kitchen? You supposed to be, you know, cutting grass and, painting and doing different things. And what I want to tell the viewers is, you're allowed to do both. And so if you're a younger viewer listening, what other I want to say is don't let your family members deter you from reaching what your heights and your dreams and what you want to accomplish. And so I'll let you kind of chime in on some tips that you use to kind of block out the noise when it comes to family members, and what have you experienced within different members of the family or community kind of deterring you from what you want to do.
I was told just a couple of days ago, my dad was like, "Oh, I need one of y'all in the family to become rich. Ain't about time y'all become rich?" And in my head, I'm thinking like, you trying to push us to become rich. What about y'all? Like, what about that thinking when y'all was coming up and everything? Why you putting so much pressure on us? Is it because y'all want to, as they say, get some type of resting done since you older and now and you don't want to work that much, which I understand when a person gets such an age. I would want my parents to be able to rest and be able to I can't think of the word right now, but not have to be a slave and work for the rest of their life as they die. But in that such, I feel like if you want us to become rich, then why didn't you give us the tools and knowledge to already begin to know about credit and everything when we was younger? Because I did not know nothing about credit until I got out that house at 18 years old. And they pushed, let me tell you, they pushed the getting out the house at 18 years old in the Black community. They really do. Instead of us staying in the house a little bit longer to financially get ourselves together and, know more about the world first before getting out of here, it would be a better setup if we wasn't pushed out the house. So like you stated about the uncles and aunts having these sneak little disses, they really do. I would get little comments like, "Oh, you done gained some weight," or "What happened to old boy?" Or "When you supposed to be in school? What happened to school?" And what else? Just all the things like I would be worried about your business, more about their own life. Basically, just love to gossip and never really coming when you need some knowledge or positive energy. They only come when it's negativity. And I had that issue online, but I had to separate online and family business because don't I'm trying to get my platform up, right? And I felt like they came at me on my own post, not with positive energy or advice, but criticism. I can take constructive criticism, but not when you trying to comfort me when you never really been in my life like that. So yeah, family. Learn when to see your way out.
That's a good thing you said. For those viewing, she said, learn to see your way out. You have to separate. Uh, the, a lot of people say business from pleasure, but business from family. Everybody, for example, LeBron James, father in his life. He didn't let his dad's side of the family, deter him from, becoming a superior basketball player. There's Michael Jackson. He didn't let family deter him from becoming, one of the greatest pop stars of all time. And so you just want to make sure that, you're not letting your family hinder you in either way. And one thing you did say that kind of segues into our next topic on mental health. Um, with that within the African American community is that pushing the kids out. Now, there's two things you said. One is being forced to move out of the house at an early age, basically as soon as you turn 18 years old, but also to kind of piggyback off that as well. You also spoke on, the little sneak diss, and I kind of want to break that down for the audience here today. Me personally, um, I grew up in a military household. Again, my biological father did, tried to take my mom's life when I was 14. And so, like I said, go ahead and check out that childhood trauma series to kind of see a little bit of my childhood and my life story on that. But um, after that happened, when I was 14, like I said, my whole family's military when it comes to my grandparents and uncles. And so, and it was my stepdad, he's in the army. And so, me personally, my mom and stepdad, I didn't get my own apartment till I was about 22, 23 years old. And so, just that short from 18 to 23 days, just that, it sounds short, like, hey, it's only 5 years, but I was able to, establish credit, get my own car. I actually was able to pay off a car and get another car. So I ended up having two cars before I sold one and, got the SUV. Um, just the amount of knowledge, money saving, allowing you to, you're still finding myself, even at 27, it's a never ending journey. But I was able to some of the mistakes or different faults that I would have made if I would have got pushed out at 18, I was able to kind of see my peers and see my friends kind of go through that and kind of ask questions. And what that helped, it's a different perspective I want to get into because for one, what we've discussed is thus far in the podcast episode here is you want to watch the family and what they're saying. And so, just like I speak in my childhood trauma series, I always say that human life, we're like a seed planting a tree. And, as we get older, we become a big tree. And then if you drive down the highway, you live in the woods, wherever, there's a lot of trees out there. But I always say, as the branches grow, when they get too heavy and fall off, they block the road. And those broken branches are what's stopping you from getting on the road and getting through the storm and reaching your higher power, the best version of yourself. And so, What I want to say to the viewers is that when you're, you know, watch your family. That's what I want to say is watch your family, because as you're growing up, as you're middle school, high school, like what Kashari K's vibe was saying, was a lot of her family members, when she started her platform, was coming with negativity. Um, if your family's only negative when you're growing up and then they just push you out at 18, the whole goal of parenthood, I am a father of twin boys, single father of twin boys. There's six. One of the greatest lessons of parenthood in general is you want to help your kids develop the skills necessary to make it without you. That's really the ultimate goal, is to make sure, if you're, especially in the Black community, if you're just like half-assing it and being negative the first 18 years of their life, and it's like, well, I did all I could. You can get out, bye. See you on, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and cookouts. And I just think that's the wrong way to take it. And so I kind of let you chime in, and I have some other thoughts on that.
I think not so much sometimes they will say the words get out or anything. I think it's a build up of the things that happens while you're growing up, the words that was stated, the environments, the situations, and it'll get in your head as if once you get older, you get 18, I gotta get out. I gotta go to, I want peace. I want something better. I got to become better in my family. I need to become something. I need to establish something in my life because I don't want to repeat a cycle. I don't want to repeat things in different black folks' families that happens, like um the stigma of single mothering or single family, or being that you co-parenting, or that you got to stay with each other just because you have kids. Like staying with each other, I mean living with each other, common law. Or the stigma of you gotta marry each other just because you have kids. No, I don't want to repeat an unhappy cycle. Not happy, leave. And that's what I did. I want peace, so I left. Not saying that I don't talk to my family or nothing, cause I love them. I still do every day. But things changed once I got older, and once they heard me more. So it's all about hearing that person out. The parents want the kids to hear them, well, then hear the kids out too. We understand that, you can't be born knowing parenting. You learn parenting as you go because your parents might made a mistake too. But that don't mean to put that mistake on us. But we all human. So you learn as you go. All you have to do is take accountability. That's what people don't want to do. Take accountability for your actions and your words of verbal abuse and things, and see how they affect that child and why that child don't come around so much as they got older.
Awesome, awesome. That's definitely a great way to put it. I think one of the words you said was accountability. That's with anything, y'all out there viewing. You want to, like I said, whether you're parenting, whether you're the kid that don't have kids yet, but you're, dealing with this with your parents or with your family members, you always want to remember that, you know, I want to speak to the viewers real quick that may have trauma within, parents or family. You have the audacity, you have the power to question your family. Growing up especially in the Black community, especially growing up in church, you were told that, hey, the elders, whoever's older than you, you shut up and, do what they say. There's no back talk. You got hit in the mouth if you talk back or what have you. And I just think as you get older, as you're a respectable adult, once you pass 18, to me, especially if whether you're moved out or not, you're allowed to speak as an adult and address your trauma. So, if your parents did something to you, you know, as a kid, as a grown adult, you're allowed to address that and go to your mom, dad, uncle, aunt, whoever, and say, hey, what you did when I was 10 years old, this wasn't cool. This is how it's affected me. And You can do that through various ways. There's counseling, there's, you know, through church, there's, just having a conversation. Like she said, take accountability for your actions. And I just want the viewers to know that you have the power to challenge the accountability of your parents and your family members. And then another thing she said was, you don't want to, you want to be the one. I want to challenge the viewers that if you're listening and you're going through one of the things she mentions, like with single parenting or breaking the cycle, I want you to give you the power and let you know that you have the ability to end the cycle, to break the generational curse. That's on you. You don't have to do the same thing your mama did, your grandmama did, great grandmama did. Same thing with men. You don't have to do what, you don't have to make, leave the house, or you don't have to stay, but, be unhappy just because, that's what your daddy did with your mom, and that's what your grandma did with your grandma. So I was just, oh, I slipped up and got a girl pregnant, so I'm gonna have to get married because, you know, my dad did the same thing. And, your happiness matters. You want to make sure that you're happy. And that's one of, actually, for me personally, me and the twins' mom, we actually do joint custody. We had split up before they were born, and that was actually one of the conversations we had because I didn't want, the kids growing up in like a toxic home or a home where, we're not getting along, and so we decided to, build that foundation before they came, so that way, they were happy and everything was in line and in order. And, everybody didn't have that situation. I was pretty sure I've heard the stories, have a lot of friends that kind of go through that custody battle and that back and forth. And one thing I'll let you know for the viewers, just pray on it and think about it. Seek higher counsel. I say that in almost every podcast episode. Seek higher counsel, whether it be somebody more intelligent than you. With relationships, I always tell people, if you're single looking for a happy relationship, surround yourself with people that are in happy marriages and learn from them. Ask questions. Um, Same, and it doesn't have to be marriages and romantic relationships. If you have a bad relationship with your parents, and you want to fix it, surround yourself with someone that had a great family life. Ask them, or maybe somebody that overcame the same thing you overcame. Ask them, hey, how did you and your mom or you and your dad, make amends and kind of um, fill the gaps and things of that nature. And so I would just say to the viewers, um, seek higher counsel. And so, kind of going to a different topic here. Um, One thing I want to address, it's a big stigma in the, not just the African American community, but in society today, is I want to talk about dating as a youth. And so, uh, one of the first things I want to talk about is me personally. I grew up, I was not born in 96, so still only 27. So when I was growing up, Facebook had just kind of started. We used to have a thing called Kick and MySpace, stuff like that. But me personally, just over the past I would say the past 4 or 5 years, I've seen a negative stigma with the social media and um, when it comes to dating within the community and within society as a whole. And so I'll kind of let Kashari speak on, how she feels social media and just what she thinks mentally has led to, it being hard to date in today's society.
I think that social media created a stigma for women and men. Um, we got men and women versus each other, like we're battling each other and at war with each other because of the gender roles that we have been choosing for each other. And it seems that with generations, women get this idea that, which has been for the longest, that a man's supposed to be a provider. Yet, in my generation, the younger generation, we have seen that the roles have changed, and that not all men, but the men have changed to the point that they're wanting women to not only be nurturing, be feminine, be soft, be a mother, be a wife, but also take the roles that they supposed to be taking, pay all the bills, make sure things are stable, um, make sure things are okay financially, handle all the financial aspects, handle also the family baggage and his baggage and also my baggage. But also keep myself together and keep myself apart and make him feel still desirable to like make myself feel desirable to him. But I would say with the Facebook dating and social media dating is just very much overwhelming and exhausting. These ideas everybody put out from dating expectations like first dates. Why are you getting mad about going to New York Cheese Factory? Like why are you invited a man over on the first night that you don't know? I think that social media is just the wrong place to come to for dating. It needs to go back to that 101. You go to the grocery store. I tell people all the time. My brother asked me how I'm going to meet different girls other than black girls. No offense. I said just go to the store, go grocery shopping, go somewhere. And I tell you, people go grocery shopping all the time. Just go there and make small talk or something. Things happen. If you say, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day?" It goes a long way. Or you tell a person a compliment, it goes a long way. So that interaction needs to start back happening instead of seeing a person in person and then wait until you get home and go on the internet and say, "Hey, I saw you." That's creepy.
Awesome, awesome. And so, one thing I want to say about that gender roles, episode 2, I kind of talked with it with my buddy as well. But um, I feel like, and it's both sides. It's not just women. It's not just men. But I feel like social media has created how you say, like AI or kind of like that fake life. You kind of get to portray what you want to portray. You can put the filters on, put the weave or the wigs or get your hair did, the nice outfits. A lot of promiscuity. In regards to revealing clothing. Um, just from my point of view. And one thing I want to talk about is that stigma of, I feel like the social media has killed like the dating because back then, when I was in my early, and then not too long ago, I'm only 27, but like when I was around age 18 to 22, dating was fun back then. And this was just, like I said, 5 years ago. I could, me personally, I could, meet a woman at work or at the grocery store, like you said, or wherever, and we could go to Cheesecake Factory, like you said, or we could go to Applebee's and have a good time. I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, what I'm. One thing I want to say is that's killed it is um, men, especially, and I'll talk to the men, is you don't have to take a girl on a date and expect something. And most people expect, sex or physical intimacy. And nowadays, what I've seen on social media is like the women expecting cash apps or like money just to go on a date or just to talk to somebody. And I feel like both sides is like, I kind of see it both ways because like the women are like, well, every guy that tries to talk to me, they just want to sleep with me. So, shoot, I'm gonna start charging for my, charging just to holler at me. And so, and then vice versa, like the guys are just like, like you said earlier, is, I want a woman that's gonna pay the bills too. Like, I ain't gonna pay all the bills and be the head of the household. Um, it's a lot of lack of men that want to be men in a relationship. They want the women to kind of like, hey, I want you to make more money or make good money, and you got to have a nice body, nice face. And one thing I want to ask the men for the viewers is, why men and women, especially in our youth, why are we so toxic when we come to dating? Your girlfriend's allowed, or your spouse, your significant other, they're allowed to have friends. Um, you want the woman to make six figures, have a banging body, have a great face, but don't talk to nobody but you. Like how is that supposed to work? And then vice versa, a lot of women, they want the guy to, you know, don't you look at another woman, don't you like no girl's post, don't you have no girlfriend. You better not have no girl best friend now. You better not have no girl best friend. And so I think that's a lot of, I want to kind of talk through that, especially in the African American community. I see a lot of like black men kind of shy away from black women, um, due to like the Cash App chick. I call it the Cash App chicks. The hey, can you send me 15 and you don't know them? And so, in your opinion, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel we can kind of like, get away from that and get back to, like I said, when I was 18, 19, where we could, have fun on normal dates?
Uh, I don't think we're gonna get away from it. I feel like in some such back then they found a way to, like, it's service for service. It's like a transaction. If you want it to be transactional, it will. Basically, if a woman come to you and ask you for $15, she means that she's only doing it transactionally. You give her money, then you get what you want. Because at the end of the day, she's gonna come at you how you're coming at her. If things, then she know you just want sex, so she might as well get something out of it, and that means money. Now, if it's the guy and he feels some type of way about giving the money, then go. We feel like if you can't pay us and you want to get the sex for free, we'll go pay a sex worker. Go pay a sex worker. You won't get the problems. You won't get the where you been, who you with, or any type of toxic or anything. You won't get that. You cut to the chase and get what you want. And in that such, me personally, I don't ask nobody for money. Nobody. I gotta I gotta really, really come to you. And really I try to have you ask me what you need. Because that's how I feel. A man who's supposed to be my man, ask me what I need. Because I'm not necessarily gonna tell you I need something. Because I always use that got myself. And that's something I'm working on with me too, because they say that a woman who says they're too independent, a man don't want um because what are they needed for. But going back into that, I feel like we can stray away from it because I feel like we need to go back to getting to know each other, not necessarily what we can always do for each other, but first thing first, get to know each other. Then we could go to what can we benefit from each other, because you still need to benefit from each other in a relationship. If you end a relationship and can't benefit from each other, then why were you in it? And that goes with any interaction with a person, whether you're friends or just sleeping with each other or go together. It need to be beneficial. If it's gonna be transactional, make things known first jump. So if y'all want this cash out culture to go away, then stop expecting sex or something on the first date. I'm gonna end this with, I was told by a guy claiming that he liked me, but that he felt that he gets green or whatever. Girls have tried him so much, get money out of him or whatever, and it don't even be good. He talking about the sex. So he like, I want to get the sex off the jump. You can't, I'm not taking you off out for a date or anything yet. I need to have the sex first, and then we gon' follow us through. And that just ain't happening. Because unless, that's what I'm going back to. Unless it's made like y'all talked about it. We all grown, we adults. Ain't nothing wrong with having sex on the first date or whatever. But it's about communication or the mood, and not forced. Nothing needs to be forced.
You said a lot of good things, but first I want to unpack what you said. That kind of goes back to our early conversation. You said that Men don't really want a woman that's too independent. And that kind of goes back to, being, pushed out at 18. I feel like, my mom personally, she's been working. She was 14. She moved out at 18 as well. I married my dad at 21. But um, I feel like with the independent thing, I feel like we're kind of forced, especially in the black community, is forced into survival. If you take a kid that if your family never taught you nothing and kick you out or you leave at 18, whether it's kicked out or being gradually pushed out, then you're an 18-year-old kid with their own place that don't know nothing. You're trying to juggle bills, juggle your mental health, trying to find a decent paying job, trying to, keep your house in order, on top of, at this point, one thing I learned back when I was, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, everybody has a different path in life. At this time, like I said, a lot of people are going to college. A lot of people are, a lot of your friends, these are people you graduated high school with. They're in college, they're in trade school, they're doing internships, hey, we just gonna go to Amazon somewhere we gonna work. Or some people have kids, some people are married, some people are engaged, and so there's just you're trying to figure it all out. You're still trying to like hang out with friends, and then trying to do that, and be an adult or responsible adult. Most people that have their own place, you got to have your own car too. It's insurance, gas, maintenance. Especially as a for a man, it's hard enough as a man trying to learn that, especially if you didn't have a positive male role model in your life. But especially as a single woman, because there's a lot of, or speaking to the women of the view, and there's a lot of wolves out there, in regards to men, a lot of, predators, a lot of men that want to like break you down, not just sexually, but, you know, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, try to make you, their slave or their, um, pet or property. And I think that leads to a lot of the stigma with me personally, I'd love an independent woman because, I want somebody that, my parent, my stepdad and my mom, they've been happily married 6+ years now. And they always preached, my mom always said, you want an intelligent woman that can like hold you down when you're down. So if I get sick, hey, I'm gonna be sick for a week. I might have to take a week off work. Can you handle the house for a week till I get back on my feet, and then vice versa. If you're a woman out there searching for a man or you have a man, you don't want no, my mom always said, nobody don't want no weak man. You don't want no sissified man. That's what I used to hate that word, punkified and sissified. My mom used to say it when I was a little kid. I would have a temper tantrum. She'd be like, stop being punkified. And I'd storm off and get mad. Like, stop saying that. And so, you want a woman that, is independent, because that means, she's not gonna, you never want a one-sided relationship. You want a partnership. That's where I want to lead in with that is, you want to make sure you're, on key and in tune with one another. And the other thing you said is, like I said, we're all grown in the transactional piece. Um, but to that point, I do feel like, um, I'll use an example I actually had the other day. I had a woman, we were kind of exchanging messages in the inbox on Facebook, what they call it, sliding the DMs. Um, and she was just, I think a lot of women, like, we wasn't really talking, we were just friends, but she made a post and was like, I ain't talking to nobody, like friends, nothing. And I just feel like a lot of women have given up on dating as well. Um, just with like, done with dating, done with like, I don't want to meet no friends, I don't want to date. And I just feel like that's not you know, like, you don't have to look for, well, my stepdad always told me, you don't have to look for a girlfriend to date, you know. I just feel like, when you're networking, it's good to have good friends and, go to dinner and go to different places, events. And how I do it is I always did like two, if I did dinner with a date or something, I would pay dinner and then I would have mutual conversation. Me, the first date was always on me. Then after that, we would like switch it. Like when we back then, I used to do movies and dinner. Like I would do the dinner, she paid for the movies and the popcorn and kind of. And again, that's just based on communication. And so I'll kind of let you go through that.
All right. So when it comes to the dates, I feel like it's definitely based on communication. Who's gonna pay for what? But on the first date, I automatically feel like if you asked her on a date, it is your job to pay because you invited her. You asked for her time, but then she decided to bring her time too, and y'all both enjoying each other time. But in that notion, you invited her, so you supposed to pay. That's the first date. But going forward, that's communication, between each other. Um, and as such, when you talked about sliding DMs, and the woman said that she's not really looking for a man or a friend, I have been there. I have said that and I meant it. And I had to go back and actually apologize because I was a little bit harsh. It wasn't me saying that I not necessarily need a man or want a friend. It was more like I'm not actively looking right now. Like right now, I just don't have the capacity to bring someone in my life right now. And that just means like don't take it personally, but I may have been through something that makes me put a guard up for allowing people in my life. Like, what are your really intentions are when you inboxing me? Is it just to be friendly or make a new friend? Understandable. I think just when a person respond like that, maybe you need to just respond in a different way and just to see where that person is in their mind. If they're willing to open up, then okay. And maybe you'll get a different response.
That's definitely a great way to put it. And I want to talk to the men real quick too. One thing that I always did, I'm a very creative person. When you ask a woman on a date, make sure you lead. One thing I always do when I talk to a woman, it's just some free advice, free game. I'm a chef, so I actually specialize in Italian food, desserts, international cuisine. And so one of my things when I'm getting to know each other, know a woman, and especially when I'm like starting to really like her, I always ask her what's her favorite food and dessert. And then when I ask her on a date, I pick a restaurant that kind of caters to that. And so don't be afraid, fellas, don't be afraid to lead. You know, try to shy away from the, what you doing all the time or, well, where you want to go to eat or, see what she likes. And you can do it with, as you're like, and then after the first date, as you're getting to know a woman, as you're starting a date, I would just pick up on simple things like, hey, I notice she always eating Reese cups when I come over. Surprise her with her favorite candy, or you know, maybe she's always, she loves hot fries or Doritos. Bring her a bag of Doritos when you hang out. Just to be friendly. And so, what you want to do is, what that does is, it shows you're a man and shows, that you're really into her and interested in more than just, like I said, a transactional, cash app society or cash app chick. And so, that's, what I want to say on, the relationship part. Last thing I want to talk about is really, um, some different tips and like the mental health of being, black in, today's society. And so I'll kind of let you kick it off with, what are some experiences that you faced that has challenged your mental health, and how have you been able to, what are some tips that you've been able to kind of, reverse the curse and kind of, be, you know, build that strong mental health?
With how society is and like mental tips for dating, I would say just try to find who you are. Try to find who you are, and so that nobody else can tell you who you are or try to change who you are. And when you realize that you're dating someone or you're changing because you're dating someone, you need to reevaluate yourself, because I have been there and I did not realize it until the people who cared about me around me told me. And so I would say definitely get a median person who won't judge you and who can honestly hear you out and not react first, because we have a tendency in the black community to respond instead of comprehend. Um so get a median person, whether it's a therapist, whether it's, I don't know, sometimes family not really the best thing, but just get a median person to talk to when it comes to that type of tip. And I will also say, if you're trying to date, then go by it the old fashioned way, like we used to. I used to write notes when I liked it somebody back in the day. Oh, I like you, mister. And, and that such. Or just always think about somebody before you message them and how their day go. Go with a simple hey. Don't ask the person what they're doing all the time, because they're gonna automatically think that you don't necessarily care about what they're doing. You just want to know what you can do. And when I say what you can do, they're automatically gonna go to something sexual. So along the tips of mental, I would say find some ways to cope. Um, whether it's music or writing or walking or exercising, find some ways to cope and kind of clear your head and clear your mind when things go wrong in the dating area. Don't try to deflect and put it internally on you. Sometimes, if you know it's a you problem, then work on it. But if it's not, then don't dwell on it and just move on. Um, and just pray on it. So those the only tips I really have. Because work in progress. We're all a work in progress.
Awesome, man. Great things that we've discussed here on episode 4 here of the Mental Health Podcast. Just a few call outs that was discussed here in today's episode. One, you just want to make sure that if you're moving out early, that you separate family from your personal business. Don't let anybody get in your way of becoming the best version of yourself. Within dating in today's society, um, try to find yourself and strive to become the best version of you. Make sure that you, like I said, seek higher counsel. Surround yourself with a village of individuals that care for you, that are going to be hold you accountable and hold you to your higher standard. You don't want an enabler that's just going to agree with you and let you do whatever you want to do. You want somebody that's going to challenge you to become the best version of yourself. And you also just want to, when you're dating, like I said, for men that are viewing, lead. Stop asking how you doing. Or one thing she did say that was great was, you just want to say what you're doing to figure out what you can do. That's you should copyright that. Yeah, that's a good one. And so, yeah, that one's copyrighted by the K's Vibe. So, yeah, we're going. Yeah, she done. That's her quote. We're gonna put that in the biography. And so, anybody else viewing, also for the women, um, you want to use the spirit of discernment. Like I said, it's more of a spiritual topic, but um, give people a chance, but hold firm in your beliefs and your standards. So if somebody's in your DMs crazy talking about some girl I love you and all this, and they full of it, go ahead and hit the block button, hit the unfollow button. But just want to encourage everyone out there viewing. There is everybody for you. There's somebody for you. Don't settle. Don't think less than of yourself. Don't put up with any abuse or any down talk or gaslighting. And continue to strive to become the best version of yourself. And so, um, Kashari, why don't you tell people how they can find your podcast?
You can find my podcast on Facebook at K's Vibes. It's KAY apostrophe S Vibes. You can also find me on TikTok at KAY Vibes too, because I guess somebody got K's Vibes. I don't know. Funny, right? Instagram, K's Vibes. And then at the end it's underscore. And YouTube, I'm revamping. It's called It's Kashari, Kashari, and that's my whole platform of brand. And so that's where I upload my K Vibes video.
So it's been a pleasure of having K's Vibes on the Decrypt Dominion, Dark Law Dominion. I hope all the viewers have a blessed and wonderful night, and I hope that you can glean and gain some knowledge from the different topics that have been spoken here today. Well, other than that, been a pleasure having you, K Vibes, Kashari, on this podcast, and hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
It's a pleasure too. You have a good night.
You too.